Welcome to NFL Nexus. I am absolutely pumped you're here with us today because we are going to unpack a topic that has been generating a massive amount of debate across the league. Before we jump in, please subscribe to the channel, hit that like button on this explainer, and drop a comment down below with your thoughts as we go. Today, we are diving deep into our highly detailed explainer of the Minnesota Vikings 2026 NFL Draft Class. We are going to look at exactly who these rookies are, what highly specific roles they are projected to fill on the depth chart, and, ultimately, whether this front office actually managed to move the needle for the franchise. We're pulling all of our data and analysis today straight from both College Football News and Sports Illustrated to give you the most comprehensive, unbiased breakdown possible.
Right out of the gate, College Football News did not mince words with their evaluation of this class. They led off with a rather blunt, eye-opening assessment, stating Minnesota is bad at this NFL draft thing lately. Now that is a really heavy statement to throw around, but when you look at the recent historical context of this team, it's pretty easy to see exactly why the pressure is so incredibly high right now. The analyst pointed out some glaring recent misses that have set this roster back, specifically noting the unfortunate situation with J.J. McCarthy struggling through constant injuries, combined with Dallas Turner just not quite living up to those massive expectations. That specific context drastically raises the stakes for this 2026 haul. Let's be real, the front office didn't just need a decent draft here, they desperately needed a home run to compensate for those recent high-profile swings and misses.
Okay, here is the roadmap for today's explainer. We'll start with Section 1, the draft dilemma. Then we'll move into Section 2, day 1 starters. From there, we hit Section 3, part-time rotational impact, followed by Section 4, developmental backups, and we'll wrap it all up with Section 5, the final draft verdict.
But really quickly, before we get to the rookies, help support the channel by purchasing our coloring books. Perfect for children, grandchildren, and adults as well. It is a fantastic way to unwind, and your support directly allows us to keep producing these incredibly detailed explainers for you week in and week out. You can access them through the link in the description below or via the QR code on the screen right now. We truly appreciate the support.
Section 1. The Draft Dilemma. A reach in Round 1?
So Minnesota entered this draft absolutely desperate for interior defensive line help. We all knew it. That was the glaring, undeniable roster need. But their specific approach in the first round immediately sparked controversy and a ton of questions about value. The Vikings essentially decided to double up on defensive tackles to completely overhaul the interior in one fell swoop. In the first round, they selected Caleb Banks out of Florida. Now, this pick is being universally described as a massive swing for the Stars. The ceiling is sky high, but because of the immense risk attached to that pick, the front office clearly felt the need to back him up right away. So they went ahead and took Dominic Orange out of Iowa State in the third round as a vital heavy-duty insurance policy.
Look at the granular data behind these two picks because honestly, it tells the entire story of the front office's risk-reward calculation. Banks is an undeniable, incredible talent, but he was hurt almost all of last year. His career high in defensive snaps at Florida was only 422. That's it. And that low number is directly due to injuries. Even right now, he's currently recovering from a foot ailment. On the flip side, you have Dominic Orange. Orange is the absolute Iron Man to Banks' volatility. Orange logged a highly durable, very impressive 547 snaps across 12 games for the Cyclones last season. You can see what the front office is doing here. They are desperately trying to balance a high-ceiling, volatile gamble in the first round with a high-floor, reliable workhorse in the third.
The crucial takeaway here is the sheer physics of what the Vikings just injected into their defensive front. Think about this number. Together, these two rookies add a colossal 649 pounds of pure mass and power to the interior defensive line. That is a mountain of humanity. So whether you think the first-round pick was a reach or not, you absolutely cannot deny that they have fundamentally altered the size and density of their defense to anchor against the run.
Section 2, Day 1 Starters. Immediate impact in the trenches.
Because of the current roster construction, the reality is the Vikings do not have the luxury of bringing these two massive humans along slowly. They just don't. Assuming Caleb Banks is fully healthy by June, which is the current expectation, both he and Dominic Orange are projected as Day 1 starters. They are expected to step in and immediately replace departed veterans Jonathan Allen and Javon Hargrave. For Banks to avoid being a massive miss for this franchise, he absolutely must follow a very exact developmental trajectory. Step 1 is obvious, right? He has to fully recover from that lingering foot ailment. But Step 2 is where the granular strategic details really matter. In defensive coordinator Brian Flores' incredibly complex scheme, Banks needs to be carefully managed. They need to keep him right within a 500 to 600 snap count range. Keeping him fresh in that specific window is the only way that by step 3, he can truly dominate the interior of the line the way a first-round pick is expected to.
Section 3. Part-time rotational impact. Filling specific niches.
Moving down the depth chart, we leave the projected every down starters, and we find 4 mid-round rookies who are uniquely tailored to carve out very specific part-time snap counts. And frankly, this is exactly where NFL drafts are often won or lost. We're talking about linebacker Jake Golday in the 2nd round, safety Jacoby Thomas in the 3rd, fullback and tight end Max Bredesen in the 5th, and running back Damon Clybourne in the 6th. These 4 selections are going to be heavily relied upon to be instant rotational players. They have to step up immediately and plug some very real roster gaps across both the offense and the defense.
This specific breakdown brilliantly illustrates exactly why the Vikings love Jake Golday in round 2. The coaching staff plans to use his very specific combination of size, instincts, and athleticism directly in the highly demanding Andrew Van Ginkel role. If you follow this team, you know this is an incredibly complex assignment within Brian Flores' defensive scheme. It requires a player to seamlessly transition between playing right up on the line of scrimmage with his hand in the dirt as a defensive end, all the way to dropping back into coverage as a traditional middle linebacker. It takes a rare athlete to handle that much mental and physical responsibility, and they are betting Golday is that guy.
Flipping over to the offensive side of the ball for a moment, we have 5th-rounder Max Bredesen. It's really fascinating how directly he is being asked to replace a beloved veteran presence on this team. Bredesen is a true hybrid tight end and fullback. Now, if you look at the historical data, veteran C.J. Ham has traditionally held down roughly 180 to 280 offensive snaps in the system. The explicit day one expectation is that Bredesen will step right in and seamlessly absorb that exact workload, operating as both a true fullback and an inline blocking tight end.
We also absolutely must highlight Damon Clybourne. He was hailed by College Football News as the absolute best value pick in the entire draft for Minnesota. Taken all the way down in the 6th round, Clybourne brings electric, game-changing sub-4.4 speed to the backfield rotation. He is incredibly fast, he runs tough, and he's highly experienced, which immediately gives the offensive coaching staff a very distinct, explosive weapon to scheme specific packages around.
And whatever you do, don't forget about Jacoby Thomas, drafted in the 3rd round. This guy logged a massive 774 defensive snaps for Miami last year alone. He is a rugged, tough run defender who has the versatility to play free safety or come right down into the box. But the really granular detail to watch here involves Harrison Smith. If the veteran Smith decides to finally call it a career, Jacoby Thomas is going to be pushed into early playing time immediately. He'll be competing directly for those incredibly valuable, high-leverage secondary snaps, and his college experience proves he has the stamina to handle it.
Section 4. Developmental Backups. Projects for the Future.
Let's transition down to the very bottom of our impact matrix. These are the day 3 players who were drafted purely on their long-term potential, rather than any immediate roster need. These are your true sit-and-wait developmental projects. We're looking at 3rd-rounder Caleb Tiernan, 5th-round corner Charles Demings, and 7th-round center Gavin Gerhardt. Listen, these guys are not seeing the field on day 1. Tiernan might not even win the backup swing tackle job right out of the gate. Gerhardt is a pure late-round lottery ticket who's just hoping to compete for a backup center spot on the practice squad. And Demings, well, Demings is going to require a whole lot of patience from the coaching staff.
Speaking of Charles Demings, it's actually a bit funny when you read the scouting reports. College Football News explicitly noted that while Demings has elite, blazing speed coming out of the FCS level, his tackling technique at the NFL level is currently basically non-existent. The quote literally says, "Just don't ask him to tackle." And honestly, because of that massive jump in competition from the FCS to the pros, he is almost certainly going to require a full redshirt year just to develop his basic fundamentals before he can be trusted in a live game.
Furthermore, analyzing this developmental group highlights some really glaring roster holes that the front office completely ignored. CFN pointed out that the Vikings entirely missed drafting a wide receiver in this class. They didn't take a single one. Additionally, instead of addressing other immediate pressing needs, they took some really strange developmental swings, like drafting a true center in the 7th round when they had bigger fish to fry. It really leaves you wondering about the overall cohesion and strategy of their draft board this year.
Section 5. Final Draft Verdict. Does this class actually move the needle?
So, zooming out from all of these highly granular snap counts, the historical veteran comparisons, and all that detailed roster math we just went through, what is the ultimate conclusion on this draft haul?
Well, looking at the sources, College Football News impartially handed this class a painfully average C grade overall. Their core reasoning is that while there is undeniable raw talent in this group, there are simply far too many reaches and strange value propositions to automatically assume this group transforms the franchise. The reality is Minnesota simply doesn't get the benefit of the doubt from analysts anymore after their recent high-profile missteps. They have to prove it on the field.
The entire success of this draft rests on an absolute razor's edge. Think about it. Literally everything hinges on Caleb Banks. He must channel his fully healthy 2024 self and become an immediate star in the middle of that defense. Furthermore, all of those mid-round guys we talked about, the Goldays, the Bradesons, they must seamlessly fill the massive shoes of departed veterans without missing a beat. And finally, those unproven Day 3 reaches have to show actual, tangible, long-term development. If any one of those three pillars falls, the grade on this draft plummets.
We are left looking at a pretty stark reality for this franchise. If Banks struggles with those lingering injuries, or if the rotational pieces fail to adapt to the speed of the NFL, the entire foundation of this 2026 class completely wobbles. It's a remarkably delicate balance between sky-high potential and absolute peril. And that highlights exactly why so many analysts across the league are so deeply divided on the ultimate impact of these selections.
Thank you so much for taking the time to explore this highly detailed breakdown with me today on NFL Nexus. Please be sure to subscribe to the channel, like this explainer, and remember to help support the channel by purchasing our coloring books, perfect for children, grandchildren, and adults as well. Access them through the link in the description or via the QR code on the screen. Now, I want to leave you with this final provocative question. Is this the specific draft class that truly elevates the Vikings to the next level, or is it just another frustrating year of massive swings and misses for this front office? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. I'm your host, and I'll see you in the next explainer.